Evening, all my saucy Strat-loving salamanders. Den here. It is time for us to pay our tithe to the Imperium of Man and do our monthly tier list, my friends. I do a lot of guitar tier lists, and every single time I point out that I'm ranking the guitar and not the artist. So whenever someone's favorite guitar player has a bunk-looking guitar and I give them a bad rating, you guys cry about it. So I'm going to start doing tier lists specifically for famous guitar players. And today's tier list is going to be famous Strat guitar players. So without dilly-dallying anymore, let's get up on into this, you stinky little bag of beans. We have got almost 20 of some of the most famous Fender Stratocaster players to ever exist on this silly little ball of dirt we find ourselves on. But how will we be ranking them, you ask? Well, our S tier for today's video is going to be, they literally changed the game. They like transcended what it means to be a guitar player. Like they are him. Or her. There's no girls on this list. What the hell? Why don't girls play Strats? Maybe I'm stupid? I don't know. Well, I'm sure the alpha males are going to be happy about that because I know you guys hate women. And then our A tier is going to be, they can Strat like a motherfucker. These are exceptional guitar players, but their sound is heavily associated with a Fender Stratocaster. And then our B tier is going to be an absolutely swell example of a proficient guitar player. These guys are an absolutely swell example of a proficient guitar player. As we all know, C is the mid-tier for my tier list videos, and today's C tier is going to be, they play guitar. Like, I'm not saying they're a bad guitar player at all. Like, every single one of the people on this list can beat my brakes off when it comes to playing guitar. But I probably just don't know that much about them. Like, I don't know. I can't focus on everybody. Like, there's just some guitar players on here that I don't really listen to that much. And it's like, that's really all I know about them is that they play guitar. And that's okay. And then our D tier is going to be, they are good at guitar, but they kind of stink. They might not have the greatest reputation in the world in some circles. We have our F tier, which is, it doesn't matter how good they are because they are an absolute fart of a person. I think that one kind of explains itself. All right. Let's get into it. We are going to start off with one of, if not my favorite Strat player in existence, Mr. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan was an absolute beast of a guitar player. He had these mammoth hands with the grip strength of a crocodile jaw. I think the heaviest gauge strings he ever went to was 14 gauge strings, tuned to E flat. That is stupid. I feel like he could just pop your head off just by squeezing your neck hard enough. This is his #1 Strat, which is my favorite Strat of his just because it looks like it went through war. And he had to get this guitar refretted once a year. This guy was insane. The sheer strength and power this guy played with is crazy. For the time he was around, he definitely changed the game a little bit. How many people do you know that own a Strat specifically because they want to sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan? This guy right here is Dick Dale, otherwise known as one of the biggest pioneers of surf rock. He's the guy that made Miserlou, this song. Yeah, like a lot of stuff just on like one string, that surf rock sound, you know, like SpongeBob guitar. I think Dick Dale was an absolutely swell example of a proficient guitar player, especially for like how unique of a guitar player he was. Up next, Mr. David Gilmour. One of the most soulful guitar players I personally have ever heard. It's like the best example of like singing with a guitar, besides maybe like Gary Moore. I think this was like the most expensive guitar ever sold for a long time until that new one recently that sold for like 14 million or something stupid like that. He can certainly Strat like a MFer. We got Mr. Corey Wong. He's very, I know like a few things about Corey Wong. He does a lot of that like wacka 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 kind of Strat playing. He's got a blue Strat. He had a neural DSP plugin that I tried the 2-week trial for. It was okay. I don't really know that much else about Corey Wong other than the fact that he plays guitar. We've got this booger. We've got Mr. Yngwie Malmsteen, one of the most virtuosic guitar players that have ever been a virtuosic guitar player. He likes them cream yellow Strats with the big 70s headstocks, scallops the dickens out of all of his frets so he can do that extra. That's what he does. He just goes. I'm not going to deny that Yngwie is a very, very talented guitar player, especially when it comes to the really fast, like shredding arpeggios and stuff like that. Like Arpeggios from Hell hits harder than a cop hits his wife. But the thing about Yngwie Malmsteen is, like anyone that talks about him kind of says he's one of the most unpleasant people to ever be around. I feel mean saying that because like, you don't know why people say that. Like it could be circumstantial, but just the sheer amount of people that have said Yngwie Malmsteen is a dick. It's like, how many times can you like, you know, give him the benefit of the doubt? So, and because of that, Yngwie's going into the, it doesn't matter how good they are because they're an absolute fart of a person tier. Moving on, we've got Mr. Rory Gallagher. Rory Gallagher was making quite the name for himself in the blues world before he unfortunately passed away. He's got one of the most famous Strats in the world just because of how beat up it is, but he was just a monster of a guitar player. I think Rory Gallagher is one of those guys that could really Strat like a mother fricker. Moving on, we've got like literally the GOAT, Jimi Hendrix. Would you think I was going to put him in an absolutely swell example of a proficient guitar player? No. Everyone says this guy with his upside down Strat was the greatest guitar player to ever live, besides maybe Eddie Van Halen. But yeah, obviously, Jimi Hendrix changed the game. Literally the best. Up next, we got John Mayer. I'm sorry, I had to pick this photo. It's just really funny. So John Mayer is one of the more like commercially successful artists on this thing. But yeah, John Mayer, he was a Strat guy for a real long time. He had the Fender Custom Shop pretty much make him a black replica of Stevie Ray Vaughan's #1 guitar. And then he moved on to PRS, but I mean, the Silver Sky is essentially a PRS Strat. But like the funny thing about him is he's an absolute nerd when it comes to guitar playing. Actually, you know what? John Mayer can Strat like a Martin Friedman. Now we've got Mr. Eric Johnson, the Cliffs of Dover man. Most people around my age probably discovered him through Guitar Hero. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like Cliffs of Dover that much, but I can really respect him as a guitar player. And I think Eric Johnson is an absolutely swell example of a very proficient guitar player. Mr. Eric Clapton. He's been in like every single one of these gosh darn tier lists. But yeah, every Strat nerd knows about his famous Blackie and Brownie Strats. And if you know anything else about Eric Clapton, you know that's a little questionable because he went through a whole little phase where he was a little bit racist. There was a point in time where he was on a lot of cocaine and he said some shit very publicly that I'm not going to repeat. As much as I like and respect Eric Clapton as a guitar player, I gotta say he does kind of stink because of all that nonsense that he used to say. Like that, like I know Eric Clapton's like up here for a lot of people, but that shit he said was kind of crazy. One more! We got Mr. Jeff Beck. Dude, watching Jeff Beck play guitar is a surreal experience. It's like I didn't even necessarily grow up listening to a lot of Jeff Beck, but I would watch a lot of Jeff Beck just because of how insane of a guitar player he was. I think Jeff Beck is definitely one of those guys that can Strat like a motherfucker. Next! Moving right along, we got Mr. Joseph Bonamosif. This is the guy that's trying to collect every single 1959 Les Paul in the world. We all know him for that, but he's also got some pretty snazzy vintage Strats that he plays quite often, especially this one that's pretty dang beat up. You guys know me, I like a nice beat up guitar. I think Joe Bonamassa is an absolutely swell example of a proficient guitar player. And then we have Mr. Mike McCready, one of the guitar players from Pearl Jam. And he's got his signature Mike McCready Relic Strat that I really want just because it's a beat up tobacco burst Strat with a rosewood fretboard. I don't know too much about Mike McCready personally, but I like Pearl Jam and I like this guitar. I am going to say that Mike McCready is also going to go into this absolutely swell example of a proficient guitar player category. Up next, we got Richie Blackmore. This one's gonna piss you guys off. I mean, zero disrespect to Richie Blackmore, but I know almost next to nothing about him other than the fact that he plays a Strat. And I know that's gonna sound like heresy to some of you guys, but for me, Richie Blackmore, he just plays guitar, man. It's a similar story with Mr. Mark Knopfler over here. Like, I know he's the guy that did the that's like the third time I've done that in a tier list. You know, the Dire Straits song. A great guitar player. I love his 58 Les Paul. This Strat he's playing is really nice. I guess he was known for playing a Strat as well. But I do know that he was a very proficient guitar player. And then we got Mr. Buddy Guy. Maybe the coolest guy on this list. And he likes polka dots. My mom is obsessed with polka dots, so that gives him some brownie points in my book. But Buddy Guy is one of my most favorite blues guitar players ever. Him overcoming his shyness to become one of the biggest blues players ever is just, it's so cool. I love Buddy Guy. Buddy Guy is such a sick dude. Buddy Guy can definitely Strat like a mother fricker, dude, I tell you what. And then we got Mr. George Harrison and his Rocky Strat. We've ran into these guys before once or twice. I really like that one meme with the little chihuahua where he's like, here you go, Rocky. I know how much you like wieners, and then the chihuahua gets mad. One of the best videos ever made. Yeah, I'm not a big Beatles guy. Yeah, George Harrison could play guitar. I'm sorry, but someone who can also play guitar, who I actually really like, is Mr. Robin Trower. I'm gonna need you to pull up whatever you use to listen to music and listen to Bridge of Sighs right now. That shit's gonna change your life. Robin Trower is still one of those guys that can strat like a real MFer, I tell you what. And then our final contestant in this famous Stratocaster player tier list is going to be Mr. John Frusciante of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, another guy with a beat up tobacco burst strat that I absolutely love. I like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, I know they're all kind of weird. I grew up listening to them. That was one of the bands my mom listened to. And I think John Frusciante is easily one of the guys that belongs in the strats like a mofo couture. And oh yeah, hey, the tier list is done. That's the tier list. Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, as always, leave a like. Definitely go down there, leave a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If I missed your favorite Strat player, go down there and leave it in the comments. Maybe we could do a part 2 at some point. Share the video around. And if you regularly watch my videos and you haven't already subscribed, then you're going to have to hang out with Yingbe so you can tell us if he actually sucks or not. A big shout out and a thank you to Horse Running, Solar Flare, Rob Heath, Jester MH, the Brandon Baker Clone, Scott Tolman, Big Tills, Corpse to Crazy, Ollie Gilbert, Mr. Cause, Robert Dalen, Mac No Cheese, K. Ryan Prasad, John Evans, Bob Threaton, Scoots Magoots, David McCanich, DLA Rocket Dan, J Graphics, Lonnie JC, X-Man Supreme, Cosmic Pasta, and Black Garlic Jr. These big old badonkadonks are my current channel members, and their support really does mean a lot. If you want to join them, get a shout out in my longer videos, get access to the members only videos, it just helps support this channel in a bigger way, then you can go down there, click the join button, tiers start as low as 3 schmeckles. There's also the super thanks button down there if you just want to give me some money, but I'm done being a tool. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.